I was just reading about the opioid crisis. Now, I've known about this for a while. In fact, President Trump made it a national emergency back in 2017, which, bravo, sir. It is absolutely an issue. It still is an issue. In fact, 2020 turns out it was an insane spike of drug overdoses. I know somebody who overdosed in high school and died. A terrible thing to have happened. I know someone personally that was affected by painkillers that their doctor went to jail for. They actually went to jail for overprescribing people and got caught because they were getting paid oodles of money by the pharmaceutical company. So when Trump went ahead and decided to make it an issue, I was like, this is awesome. And then, of course, Biden, backtracked a little bit. I'll go over that because it's ridiculous. But I found an interesting connection through China, working with Mexican drug cartels to make money off of the fentanyl trade into America. No joke. Fentanyl is the number one cause of overdoses. More than half of the overdoses of 2020 were from fentanyl, of some 56,000 drug overdoses from fentanyl. It's ridiculous. And I keep seeing this chart popping up. Check this out. So this is the chart that I keep seeing. People keep sharing it. They're like, wow, I can't believe this. This is from Kyle Kushov. He says, the only thing lockdowns influenced was causing a spike in drug overdose deaths. U.S. drug overdose deaths surged nearly 30% in 2020. 93,000 overdose deaths. That's crazy in 2020. Look at that spike. It's crazy. Look, from 1990, this is from all the way from 1990 to 2020. So you could see this is a huge uptick. Well, what's changed? Right, doctors are prescribing it more. Fentanyl is like 20 times more addictive than heroin. It's stronger than heroin on all accounts. It's a crazy drug, and it's terrible for you. George Floyd had it in his system. Pretty sure that's how what the ME said that he died of from a drug overdose of fentanyl, even though for some reason someone got charged for murder for it. But even still, this is the issue, is fentanyl. It's driven by fentanyl. U.S. overdose hit record high in 2020. Let's see, an increase of 30% since 2019, and it's a record high. Data released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, on Wednesday makes for grim reading. 93,331 people in the U.S. died from drug overdoses last year, up from 70,980. This increase is nearly 30%, is the highest year-on-year increase in at least 2 decades. And the total number of deaths is the highest ever recorded in a 12-month period. Opioids were responsible for nearly 3/4 of those deaths, with synthetic opioids responsible for nearly 57,000 deaths, or more than half. Last year, synthetic opioids killed just under 50,000 people, which is still way over half. Just under 50,000, so that probably was 49,000 and something, right? Out of 70,000 deaths, 50,000 out of 70,000, that's like, I don't know, 80%. That's crazy. So last year in 2020, it was 57,000 out of 93,000 deaths. That's a huge proportion also. It's like 60%, 56, 60%. I'm just roughly going at it. Don't know the exact percentage there. Among these synthetic opioids, fentanyl, a drug 50 times more potent than heroin. 50 times more potent than heroin. Was primarily the cause of death this year, the CDC's National Center of Health Statistics noted. Some experts have blamed the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent stress and isolation experienced by many Americans for the sharp rise in deaths. And that makes sense. This has been an incredibly uncertain and stressful time for many people, and we are seeing an increase in drug consumption, difficulty in accessing life-saving treatments for substance use disorders, and a tragic rise in overdose deaths. Dr. Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute of Drug Abuse, said in a statement. You know, there's something that we have that's for it. It's called medication-assisted treatment for opioid use disorders. We have these in different scales, and something that really pisses me off is Biden. Within the first, week of his administration, before I even get into this specific thing, Biden basically went and said, you know, everything Trump did, we got to just cancel. All right, because he's bad, and I got to redo everything because his administration was the worst. In fact, he's wrong. It actually was a pretty legitimate administration. If you know anything about politics and you actually do some research for yourself, you'll recognize that Trump was actually a fairly decent president after he learned how to be a president. Because at first he kind of was just, you know, a bull in a china shop, you know, and I get that because he wasn't a politician. He learned how he had to handle people. He hired the wrong people. He didn't know that he couldn't trust, but there was a lot of people that didn't like that Trump, he wasn't supposed to be president. Let's just be honest. But here we have Biden wants tougher controls on opioid treatment prescriptions. I can tell you right off the bat, he wants his friends in the pharmaceutical companies to get those contracts. He doesn't want whatever Biden was saying, or whatever Trump was saying, because Trump was making it hard for pharmaceutical companies to price gouge American citizens. Take insulin, for example. The price of insulin over the years has skyrocketed. People were traveling to Canada or Mexico to get cheap prices. And Trump actually had an executive order last year, which was amazing. He made it so that if in America, if they're going to sell insulin, it has to be at a price that neighboring countries also sell it at, because it's not fair that they're just, you know, forcing the American citizens who need insulin to survive to spend this money on it. They knew they had these people trapped because they need insulin to survive because they're diabetics. Or that's the number one cause you need insulin, I'm assuming. But this is one of those things that really pisses me off, that Biden was just like, nope, we got to cancel this. And this is obviously written a little while ago, but Biden was sworn into office and he has signed 40 executive orders. That's right, in under a week. And the next one was the opioid epidemic. According to an anonymous source, some clinic guidelines will be repealed. In fact, he did. And it was specifically the president will not support the last-minute opioid treatment plan created by the Trump administration. The previous administration enforced less restrictive opioid-related policies. They allowed practitioners to prescribe buprenorphine, an opioid treatment drug, without an X waiver. The X waiver is a federal license that permits clinicians to prescribe buprenorphine, an opioid treatment addiction treatment. The Biden administration is concerned that these laxer rules were leading to rising addiction rates. It was literally a treatment to help people with addiction on fentanyl, right? It was so people can go to people who can't afford whatever the big pharma is trying to shove down their throats. Oh, you have a fentanyl problem? Go to this one. Oh, by the way, it's big pharma who created the whole opioid crisis. I don't remember which company it was. It was they're facing like a $200 million lawsuit, and they're paying out. And guess what? That's chump change for these people. Big pharma. How much money is in keeping people alive? Not fixing them, not curing their illness. It's keeping them alive, but keeping them sick. We'll just keep them alive and keep them on these drugs. Yeah, opioids are a problem, and they were making money off of it. People were going to jail for this. I know a doctor that was prescribing someone I know personally opioids for an issue that they were having, and the doctor's in jail right now. They got jailed for it because they were overprescribing and taking money from big pharma. And guess who isn't getting in trouble for it? Big pharma. Yeah, it's an issue. and Biden is making it easier. So now I'm looking at all this, and I stumble upon this article that just, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe this when I read this, and I was like, well, it makes sense. China is trying to undermine us on every front. China money launderers team up with Mexican cartels to profit billions from U.S. fentanyl crisis? What's this? China has something to do with the fentanyl problem in America? Huh. Chinese money launderers and fentanyl makers have gone into business with Mexican drug cartels, teaming up to make billions of dollars a year trafficking the powerful opioid that is killing thousands, tens of thousands of people in the United States. The fentanyl boom facilitated by China represents a third wave of opioid epidemic, following first an increase in the abuse of prescription painkillers around the turn of the century, and then a rise of heroin use. But the fentanyl phase is different in that it involves an international operation of people in multiple countries working together to produce and transport the drugs, then secretly shuttle the profits across U.S. borders. It's the greatest drug scourge in American history. More Americans killed annually than any time in history. So yeah, this is a problem of epic proportions, said Ben Westhoff, author of Fentanyl, Inc. Authorities have long been aware that China and Mexico have teamed up to produce and profit in this endeavor, but in recent years, Chinese businesses have stepped up not only to facilitate the making of fentanyl, but also the laundering of the profits in the U.S. Recognizing that fentanyl was becoming the new face of the opioid epidemic, the Trump administration pressured Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2019 to make the drug illegal. In response, labs in Wuhan, China, that made most of the fentanyl consumed in the U.S. pivoted to produce instead the precursor ingredients that were themselves not illegal. Why is it all... What's up with Wuhan? Seriously, what is going on with this place? It's the origin of the virus, supposedly, although that seems to be the number one agreed upon place. All right, I don't know for certain. I'm not trying to make any sort of statements, YouTube. All right, but anyway, people in labs in China are producing this substance that is killing Americans. Former U.S. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said in a 2018 interview, long before the global emergence of the coronavirus, which also was first detected in Wuhan. The fentanyl ingredients are sent to Mexico, where the final product is made. Then it is snuck over the U.S.-Mexico border and dispersed nationwide. Okay, so not only do we have thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants coming across our borders on the on our southern border, where Cubans aren't allowed in for some reason. The Biden administration, it's probably because they're Republicans. Who are we kidding? We also have fentanyl coming across the southern border that's made in China. And China continues to make it, even though the government has called them out on making it. They're still making it in Wuhan. So wait, now I got to go back to Biden again. I can't stand this guy. God, now they're, of course, going and teaming up with Facebook to censor people. The U.S. government is working with Facebook. Openly, they're acknowledging it. But China somehow is getting a pass for making the ingredients for fentanyl and sending it down to Mexico for it to be mixed and then brought up through our southern border for Americans to get killed. Dude, how many red flags do we need to see? And look at them all. They're all Chinese flags. Every single one I see. All of them. Sorry, guitar. I just smacked my guitar. I didn't mean to. It's ridiculous. This needs to be a much bigger issue. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that I don't have more viewers right now. Because yesterday was a big show because of what was going on in Arizona. This is a huge deal. This is a huge deal. And I'm kind of shocked because people need to be upset about this. How many different ways is China subverting our democracy, our true democracy, not this BS that the Democrats are shoving down people's throats? Straight up, Democrats are leaving and joining the Republican Party. A mayor in Las Vegas just did that. He left. He was like, I can't stand this socialist, elitist, democratic Democrats. Whatever they are now, they don't represent me anymore. I'm joining the Republicans. This is happening a lot. But man, the threat is, to me, it's blatant. I mean, I've been talking about China for over a year. Long before I was gone from the Timcast IRL show, I was constantly saying it. Because guess what? Trump is right. China openly talked about how they wish the world was under their thumb and the world would be better for it. They said that. They're openly talking about it. They're saying, hey, we're going to go take over this place and try to stop us. We'll put you under our boot. That's literally what they said. How is this not a bigger issue? How is this not being talked about? Oh, you know why? Because of Chinese money. I'm assuming that's it. They're paying people off. They're buying all the right people. I don't even believe Biden's in control. Biden can't even speak a sentence without stumbling over himself, without the teleprompter. When Trump was speaking last month, or maybe it was 2 months ago, and he had these papers and he was reading, and he was like, I threw the papers in the air and said, I don't need to read from papers. I could just talk to you guys. I was like, dang, he's totally digging on Biden. I don't trust that these people are for the American public anymore. I don't think they care about us. I think they want American citizens de-armed, devoiced, and sheep. They want communism. I can't believe I even heard Psaki say, like, you know, communism failed, blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, well, why didn't you say that right when he was saying it? Why won't you say that the Cubans can't stand communism? They want the freedom back. They don't have freedom. It costs $200 to buy anything. $200 US to buy literally anything. You want a bag of rice? $200. And it's not even a freaking 50-pound bag of rice. You think we've got it so good? These people, I mean, we have it really good as Americans, all right? But these people in America who think they're so oppressed that when they can go by the store and they can walk around and they can say whatever they want, they could say that they hate people that aren't vaccinated. It's like, you're living in a free place that you could say that. Man, I'm so fed up with Jen Psaki and her condescending. Oh, I can't stand that woman. She's so fake. She lies so much. You can tell that she's getting nervous too because she keeps having to cover for a terrible administration who is clearly not for America. They don't care about American jobs, sending gas pipes for Russia. Yeah, build the gas line. It's almost done anyway. Well, what about the Keystone Pipeline? Oh no, you want to send the job to Canadians. Like, okay, look, I'm not against anyone having jobs, but I would like for Americans to have jobs. It's crazy. Ah, man. Now that Black Lives Matter came out and said the U.S. government is the cause, is the blame. This embargo. If you lift the embargo right now, the money's just gonna go into the regime's pocket. They don't care about the Cuban people. The Cuban people should get the money if they're going to get help from us or if they're going to get tourists, to revitalize Cuba. People think they know, but they have no idea. Man, Black Lives Matter, rest in power. What is that? They're openly admitting to be communists. Craziness. And now we got China, who is the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. They're literally communists trying to take over the world. It's not going to end well. I'm telling you. I'm done. I'm done talking about China. It stresses me out. I just want to jam. I'm so fed up with these people and their crazy ways. They're ruining this planet. They're ruining this planet. All right? They are. They're trying to destroy society as we know it. We got to stop them.